Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam and you're watching Flick Connection, the show that usually helps you get more out of movies, but today I'm going to be telling you about the new Hulu original series, Pam and Tommy, and why you should be watching it. So Pam and Tommy is the newest Hulu original series, and it's easily one of the best ones I've ever seen on that platform. It is the story of Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee, and their infamous sex tape. Now, I will start this video off by telling you I had very little interest in this show, and honestly very little interest in the story itself. However, I did not realize how much was going on behind the scenes in this story, and I also didn't realize how good the production of Pam and Tommy was going to be. But the show was created by Robert Siegel, who is famous for writing the screenplay for The Wrestler and The Founder, and then he also directed two smaller movies, Big Fan and Cruise. I enjoyed both of those, but Pam and Tommy might be one of his best projects ever. And the first 3 episodes, which are available now, were directed by Craig Gillespie, most famous for directing Lars and the Real Girl with Ryan Gosling, which I highly recommend, and I, Tonya, which also stars Sebastian Stan. But with that, let's go on to the reasons why you should be watching this show. So for starters, Lily James plays Pamela Anderson. And I need to point that out because Lily James is a great actor. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She's most famous for Cinderella. She was also in Mamma Mia and Baby Driver. And I've liked her in everything. She's great. However, in this, she is 100% unrecognizable for multiple reasons. For starters, there is a lot of makeup. They did a lot to make her look exactly like Pam Anderson. In fact, she looks so much like her, it is spooky. Not just at times, like most of the time, it's a little bit eerie. But they found this beautiful balance. There's a lot of makeup, but she's still able to act through it really well. So she's doing this really kind of bubbly, vivacious, Hollywood type thing, this personality style that's not just unique to Pam Anderson, it's kind of unique to California, maybe even more specifically Hollywood during this time period. So she's nailing that, and it's got a lot of nuance and a little like, there's a lot of body language to her performance, but you also see a lot of subtleties coming through. You can tell what she's thinking a lot of times, even though she's very heavily masked, which is no small achievement whatsoever. I mean, she nailed it with this role. Now, I say that to say that Sebastian Stan's performance of Tommy Lee is just on a completely different level. And now, he's obviously an accomplished actor. He's most famous for playing the Winter Soldier in all the Marvel movies, and he was great there, but during that time, or at least over the past few years, I've seen him branching out into some other roles that I've really liked. Now, I did think he was great in I, Tonya, which I already mentioned, but he was also fantastic in Destroyer with Nicole Kidman, and then The Devil All the Time on Netflix. He had a small role there, but I was pretty impressed with what he was doing there as well. But his role as Tommy Lee is on like a Tyler Durden level in terms of intensity.
That's right.
And over the years, I've seen Tommy Lee in interviews and things, and while Sebastian Stan doesn't really resemble him very much in the face, he nailed the energy, the voice, the mannerisms, everything, and it's just incredibly entertaining to watch. Pam and Tommy is also filled with a lot of shots you don't normally get in TV because production schedules are very different between TV and movies, whereas say a 90-minute movie, you may have 2 months to film something like that. Then you take an 8-hour series like this or a 10-hour series, they may only have 2 months to film something like that, so everything goes much faster. However, in Pam and Tommy, there are multiple long single takes with a lot of extras and actors, lights, everything. All of that takes a day or longer to prep, rehearse, film, and you get plenty of that in Pam and Tommy, which makes it feel much more cinematic. Yet it still takes its time the way a series would. For example, the entire 2nd episode is about them meeting, falling in love, and getting married, and it does drag on. I mean, there's a lot of scenes of them partying and doing drugs in Cancun, and it does feel a little stretched out. However, it's a series. I mean, they can take their time with stuff like that, and if anything, my brain was just sort of tricked into thinking it was watching a movie, so things felt a little overlong. However, series-wise, everything is pretty tight with Pam and Tommy. Their clothes, the style of everything, the houses, the sets, The way that they're talking, everything oozes the mid-90s, but the soundtrack to Pam and Tommy really sets it over the top. So again, the show is not just for people who are fans of Tommy Lee and or Pamela Anderson. It really is a fun experience for anyone who wants to take an 8-hour trip back to the mid-90s, which is a really fun place to be. I just wouldn't want to go back and live there. Pam and Tommy also mixes humor and drama better than almost any series I can think of. In addition to all the people that produced and directed it, Seth Rogen is also a producer. He's also a major character. He actually plays Rand, the carpenter that actually stole the tape and distributed it. And so while he is a major character, I also think the fact that he was a producer is one of the reasons there's such an interesting balance of humor and drama in this. And they're mixed together. There are scenes that are incredibly intense that end up being funny and vice versa. And Seth Rogen is good in the show. You buy his performance and everything. He's just not on another level like the other two main actors are. Yet you do spend quite a bit of time following his character, and there's so much more detail. I mean, there's like tenfold the amount of details that I thought there was gonna be with this story. The show is so much more interesting than I expected because the story is so much more interesting than I thought it was. Add on to that incredible performances and top-notch production, and you've got yourself a hit show. Now, another big thing that Pam and Tommy does is show excessive full frontal male nudity. So if you're not aware, apparently Tommy Lee is famously well endowed. Apparently that comes across in the sex tape itself, if you get my drift. But spoiler alert, the show is gonna put you up close and personal with Tommy Lee's in ways you're probably not gonna be ready for. Now, the reason I share that, aside from just sort of giving some of you a fair warning, is it's very unusual. Now, I know there's been penises in shows like Game of Thrones and things, and while I personally never really had a gripe with a lack of penis representation in movies and TV, some people did apparently, and in the future, Pam and Tommy could be seen as one of the things that broke down that barrier, and honestly, if you're gonna break barriers, you might as well use a big hammer. I should also point out how easy it is to dismiss the significance of a sex tape in today's culture. Years after all of this happened, sex tapes became a major thing. I mean, multiple celebrities like Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian famously sort of released their own sex tapes out into the world and launched their fame, I guess. I don't want to quite say careers, but I just Googled it, and Keeping Up with the Kardashians finished its 20th season last year, and there are 8, yes, 8, I can't believe it myself, spin-offs to that show, all built on the back of a sex tape. Now, the Pam and Tommy one, however, was incredibly damaging to both of them. I think maybe messed up her career. His fame-wise was already kind of over with, but still, this was a very damaging personal thing that got released out into the world that millions of people saw. Something that they weren't supposed to. I mean, it's a husband and wife in intimate moments. A lot of you have those moments. You don't want them shared. The Pam and Tommy example is very much a violation in more ways than one, and I can see the show is sort of taking it in that direction, which is part of what makes it so interesting. Now, so far we're only 3 episodes in, with 5 more. They're gonna be released weekly for the next 5 weeks after I post this video. I've loved the first 3, and it's hard to kind of see where the point of the show, at least what it's going to be ultimately trying to say. It's hard to see where that's going, but I got some glimmers of it, and it looks like it could be pretty significant. You do spend quite a bit of time with Seth Rogen's character, and while the series starts off sort of making Tommy Lee the villain and Rand maybe the victim, the show is doing this really nice dance with that, and things are changing, and I expect the perspective of the show, Pam and Tommy, to be in a different place by the time we get to episode 8 than it is in episode 1, which again, just makes it all the more interesting. So I'm going to be staying tuned. Hopefully some of you are turned on to this show if you weren't to begin with. Something else I'd like to turn you on to is the new DarrenVanDam.com. I just launched it this week. You can go there right now. There is a link in the description and the top pinned comment. By the way, all the movies that I mentioned in this episode, including all the little ones all the other actors are in that people directed, that full list is in the top pinned comment as well, along with the places you can stream those movies. That way, if you got an itch to watch one of those instead of Pam and Tommy, you can do that. But if you go to DarrenVanDam.com, not only can you watch back catalog episodes, but right there on the homepage, I've got my flicks of the week. That's going to be updated weekly. So bookmark the site, go back. You'll get recommendations in addition to what I tell you about here on YouTube. I also encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. I'm going to be creating the newsletters and managing all of the emails myself. I'm not giving your information away to anybody. It'll all be secure, and the only thing you're going to get from me is a weekly email with additional movie recommendations, so you will never run out of movies to watch. But I will keep making these videos as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this special Pam and Tommy episode, and you will see me on the next one.